Hello everybody and welcome back. A few videos ago I made a really short one about the difference between a PlayStation 3 and PlayStation 3 based supercomputers and well, real purpose built supercomputers. And as a response to that, some people asked for a tour inside, and this here is basically a Blade computer. It's well, it's really thin, and at the front it has its on-off button, and in the back it has the connectors where it gets its power, where the network connections are, and all of that stuff. And let's actually have a look inside and see what we have here. Just for reference, this one here, if my autofocus could please keep up, this one here is a QS21. Now this still has the original PlayStation 3 CPU, and we can open this up. They all open up the same way. The lid just folds up and you can see inside. And well, there's not a lot to see in these. Now basically half of the Blade computer is the PlayStation 3 part. So you have the memory, you have the CPU, you have a south bridge, and then you have your I/O, and there are two of them. So basically what you would have in a PlayStation 3 is you would have your PlayStation CPU here, and then you would have your graphics chip over here. This memory would be missing, and this south bridge would be missing. This makes the supercomputers, or the Blade computers that are cell-based, something special, because they are actually real NUMA-based computers, and they have devices connected to specific nodes. Now, the party trick of the PlayStation 3 CPU is that if you don't want a graphics chip, you can use the bus that connects them just to simply connect to PlayStation 3 CPUs, and you get a symmetric multiprocessing system with a NUMA configuration. And this is basically the same across all of these systems. You always have no graphics adapter, so it's just got Ethernet and serial I/O, no real graphics, and they're all built in a way where they have the PlayStation specific memory, the PlayStation CPU, and their south bridge. And the rest is very much standard stuff. You have your I/O controllers, you have your bus controllers, maybe as a special thing among the server computers, these have a different south bridge, and this south bridge gives you the possibility to add some memory, which is called ZMEM. And this memory is very fast, and it basically presents itself as a memory block device. Yeah, so this is what each of these looks like. There's really, for just using it, nothing special. You slide them into something that's called a blade center, where you can have 14 of these blades. It's pretty simple. The good thing about these are you can add USB memory in the back here. You can add InfiniBand, extra Ethernet. You can add serial attached SCSI right onto the blade itself, and then you have the adapters connected in your blade center. That's very nice. Also, what we have here is we have one supercapacitor, so should ever anything go wrong with the blade and it turns on the fault light, you can remove it, and there's a button up here, and if you press that button, different LEDs on the board are going to light up and tell you what's wrong. That is really nice. But still, many of these would make a supercomputer, and several of these have been made, but the real party piece is basically the purpose-built triblade that was made for the Roadrunner supercomputer. And Roadrunner, of course, was the first supercomputer to break the petaflop, and it was the first supercomputer to set one of these records to actually appear on the Green 500 list, just because it was, although it was quite a brute, it was pretty energy efficient. So let's get one of those. So here we have a triblade, and a triblade is basically 3 blades, but to confuse everybody, it actually uses 4 slots, because one of the blades is an interposer with PCI Express connectors, where you can then add PCI Express devices. For those who are curious, you cannot add a graphics card. You could add it, it would show up on the bus, but since these are PowerPC based, there's literally no way to initialize the graphics card. The interesting thing is, because this thing is so huge and because it's quite difficult to take apart, it actually comes with instructions right on it. These instructions tell you, be careful. First of all, this thing is really heavy, so these are over 10 kilos each. They do consume a lot of power, and they get really, really warm. The Cell CPU is one of the CPUs that will happily run hot all day, while in a PlayStation 3, about 2/3 of the PlayStation 3 itself, regarding mass, is cooling. These don't go that way. So we have very small coolers in here, and the cooling is achieved by pumping immense loads of air right through the blades. So let's take the top cover off, if I can. And here we go. First cover off. So what we're seeing is the first of the cell blades, and you can already see that this is quite different. We now have DDR2 memory here, because this one here has a different south bridge, and the chip itself has a different memory controller on board. Also, these CPUs are no longer the CPUs that were used in the PlayStation 3. These CPUs are capable of doing double precision floating point math, and that's one of the things that the PlayStation 3 couldn't do, because it wasn't required for games. Now there's a latch here, and I can open that, and there are some ribbon cables in here, and these ribbon cables actually connect the blade to the empty slot where the PCI Express buses are. And we can just remove this. I haven't done this in quite a while, so I hope I don't break it, because these are actually still in use today. I have to look on my cheat sheet for opening them up, but I think, here we go. This here is the first well, ribbon cable for the PCI Express interposer. And now that that's removed, we can actually pull up the second blade, which should be done like this. And this is not easy to do, by the way. I really haven't done this in quite a while. Why doesn't this come up and off? Here we go. What am I missing? This should go in here like this and open up the latch so I can unhook this, and the top should come off. Oh, I'm doing it the wrong way. I have to pull this. And if I pull this, then I can unhook it. Here we go. Give me a second. I will make it eventually. Here we go. And now we can remove blade number 1 and get to blade number 2. Blade number 2, except for some hair, is exactly the same. This actually comes apart in exactly the same way. Again, we have the whole construction in the same way. All of the other stuff is there too. So we have the supercapacitor, we have the light for status, we do have the I/O buffer memory or ZMEM, we do have the same amount of memory, and this should come apart too. There we go. Now where am I going to put this? And now we are down where we have the connector. There is one InfiniBand card that is currently in here. There could be a second one, I believe. No, this one doesn't have it. And same again, we have status LEDs, and we have power connections, and we have power circuitry right on here. Now, when we remove this one, and I think this one doesn't have a latch. Oh, and this one is screwed on. There we go. And then the connector comes off. And when the connector comes off, we see a third blade, and this blade actually has an AMD CPU. 2 of them to be exact. It also has more memory. So this one has 16 gigabytes. It doesn't have its own hard drive, although it could have. And this controls the two blades that are above it. Yeah, this is a really nice setup. So yeah, here we are. Bottom side. Let's see if we can get it back together. And let's hope that it still works, because if it doesn't, then, well, and there will be no more driver support and no more library updates for this architecture, because that's what I use it for. Oh, come on. So when these are actually built and set up, they get rigorous testing for stability, for being able to survive, for example, an earthquake and things like that. And when there was the big earthquake in Japan many years ago, that had such it had such an unfortunate aftermath. There were actually blade centers running where the racks fell over, and nobody ever noticed until they actually went to go look for the blade centers if they were still okay. And they were actually on their side, and they were still running fine. Okay, here we go. First cell blade. Connect and latch so they're together. Fold over the PCI Express connector. And latch it. And latch it. There we go. And you really have to, it says press to install, and you have to really press these down. Okay. Done. Now we take the third blade, put it in on top. Latch it in place, close the lock, fold this part over, get these latched and running. Here we go. Everything is back together. Close the little door on the side, and in the end, we just reattach the final lid with the instructions. Make sure that we tuck the latch on the side in. And we're done. So that's what a supercomputer looks like on the inside. In fact, one of the great supercomputers of our time. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this. Thank you very much for watching, and bye-bye.